So you clicked on this title because a part of you resonates with it. You want to wake up. You're tired of losing. You just feel like at this rate, nothing for you is happening. You're either not getting girls at all, you're stuck, your mindset is fucked, and you feel like, you know what? Let's see how to save yourself. And to be very frank, you have to save yourself because the 5 things I'm going to mention in this video are things that you probably do almost every day of your life. And that's the problem, right? Before I get into those 5 things, I just remember the quote from, I think, from the meditations that says, the sins you commit while you are angry are better than the sins you commit while you're happy. And the worst part is that, guess what? Those things you commit while you're happy, they're dangerous because these are things you do every single day. Now, there are people who have woken up at age 40 and 50, 60. They've come to realize that that thing they were doing every day that was giving them pleasure is what wrecked their entire life. And now, hopefully you watch this video and get to realize that you have to wake up, right? You have to give up these things if you truly want to grow, right? Like I said, so I have a couple of bullet points because I had a meeting yesterday or I had a coaching call with somebody yesterday, and I kind of realized that every single thing I'm going to mention in this list actually came from the notes I was taking from this guy, and I felt like, whoa, brothers, I forgot to share it because there's nothing I'll say here that is new to you, but you might basically hear a couple of what perspective shifts. Number one, that also that is holding you back as a man is women. Now, I'm not here to like do any kind of gender war or something, but why women would always be your problem as a man is one, that's how we lost. If you're lusting over women anyhow, you've already lost, brother. You've already lost because you see, you're not supposed to be chasing women. You're supposed to be on your purpose and watch the way women chase you. Now, trust me, like I'll tell you this that I'm far from being as rich as I want to be. I'm on my path to being as rich as I want to be. But one thing I'll tell you for a fact is being on your purpose is so goddamn attractive, right? When you prioritize your purpose, women begin to prioritize you. I can say it for a fact because that is exactly what I'm doing right now. Where I'm not putting so much effort to talk to women, and when women see that I am trying my possible best on my priority, on my purpose, all of a sudden they begin to take interest in me, literally speaking. And I keep trying to tell them, guys, I don't spend money on women. Like genuinely speaking, when I spend because of we're going out and I want to like pay for the bills, but I don't feel that pressure to want to impress them. And the women that come into my life, knowing that I'm on my purpose, now mind you, when it comes to women, I have nothing to sell to you. I'm basically here telling you that from my own life, I have witnessed that when you are on your purpose, that shit is attractive to women. When you are ambitious, that movement is very attractive to women. So one thing for a fact is, take my word for it, right? I want you to take my word for it. As, bro, I used to be a guy who used to chase women, but I came to realize that chasing women is a losing battle. It's a fucking losing game, right? What that means is I'm supposed to build a life that I want for myself and let a woman come to my life, right? Another reason why women would always be a distraction is there's a high chance that as you're a young man, you probably don't know what you want in a partner. There's a saying that anything that is good takes intention, but anything that is bad only needs neglect. What that means is if I ask you as a man, what do you want from a long-term partner? Can you give me an answer? There's a high chance you can't give me an answer. So what that means is if you can't give an answer the kind of partner you want, think about it. How on earth do you think you have to find the one? How on earth do you think you have to find a reasonable partner? How on earth do you think you can magically find a woman that is worth it in an age where the media tells women to be hoes? Think about it, brother. How would you get that? Another thing you should look out for is porn. Because to be very honest, porn has been weaponized against us as men. And one other thing you should realize is, I'll tell you this, right? When they say as a man, you have to control the frame of a relationship. To be very honest, I quite did not understand this thing for like years. I was like, what do you mean by frame? Until I understood that the more masculine you are, the more you create the life that you want, the more you are moving towards it. That's the frame itself. What that means is that you are building this life. So a woman is coming into your life to complement your life, not to change the direction, not to be the focus. Would women test you? Yes, women will test you. But if they see that you are always on your grind, you are always on your purpose, guess what happens? That is the frame that happens. So they want to be part of that frame. They want to know that their lives, their femininity lies in the hands of a man who is very masculine. That is why when you are on your purpose, when you put women as third, your purpose, you than a woman. Trust me, women actually like it. There's a reason women go for narcissistic men. I know the media tries to lie to you that, don't be narcissistic. Bro, I'll tell you for a fact, narcissistic men have a higher chance of reaching their goals than men who always give two fucks. So the whole idea is If I win and you win, everybody is good. But on the other part, society tells you to lose, all in the name of society wants to be happy. Fuck that shit. So, bro, I'll tell you this for a fact that women, from my life, from my experience, women will come to you the more you move towards your purpose. Is that crazy? I know it's counterintuitive, right? And I'm very grateful for my father telling this thing into my head. Now, to be very frank, I quite did not understand him when I was younger, but growing up, I have come to realize that it's actually true. That the more you are on your purpose, the more you work hard, or the harder you work, right? I won't say the harder you work because it can be misunderstood, but the more you move towards your purpose, the more women kind of move towards you. I can say that for a fact. As somebody who doesn't even put in that much effort to talk to women, I can tell you for a fact. Yes, number two on this my list is masculinity. One thing holding you back is they've spread this idea that masculinity is a serious problem. They've labeled it toxic. Now, if you see anybody that defines the word toxic masculinity, I want to ask them a question. List out the habits of men that are toxic, all right? And ask them, of these things on this list, right? Show me a man who got to the top who doesn't have these things there. See, toxic masculinity was an idea that was invented for the sake of making boys, not men, making boys feel guilty for growing into men. I'm telling you for a fact, and if you still have that idea in your head, you've already lost as a brother. Think about it, right? If they list toxic masculinity, they mention competition, they mention emotional control. Bro, think about it. Bro, you have to have some form of competition as a man. It's not possible because as men, we live in terms of dominance hierarchy. What that means is, when I walk into a room, right, I kind of already know who the alpha male is, who the main guy is, who the weak men are. That is how the world is. Forget the fact that we live in a nice, calm environment, but the world is like that. So dig it right. They tell you to don't be competitive, and we are not competitive. Guess what happens? Automatically you lose. Automatically you don't level up. The irony of shit is that you actually need to level up against yourself. But at the beginning, you might have to compete with other people. But as soon as possible, right? This is why I like the idea of a Sigma mindset. Although people have kind of taken that shit out of proportion. The other stuff of toxic masculinity I mentioned was not controlling your emotions. Think about it. They don't want to control your emotions because they realize that the less you have control over your emotions, the easier you are to control. The easier for them to addict you. And trust me, between a weak man and a strong man, who do you think has more control over his emotions? I'm going to tell you that this idea of toxic masculinity is a complete waste, is a complete wash, brother. Then another problem you struggle with masculinity is because of they made you feel less of a man. You don't think like a man, and when you don't think like a man, you don't craft a vision for your future. That itself goes back to your purpose, right? When you have a vision you're working towards, that you're ambitious about, right? Trust me, things begin to fall in place, right? I'll tell you for a fact, if you want to get rid of this whole entire masculinity ideas that are holding you back, cut out the fucking media, right? The movies that you're seeing today, they're all garbage. Most of them are, 90% of them are proper garbage. If you to watch movies that promote proper masculinity. Watch movies that, because people don't realize that it's masculine nature, right? For men to protect, for men to lead. I'm here to tell you that so far the world is concerned, right? So the only reason we have order in the world right now is because men are still leading. And the thing now is, society wants to stop you from actually leading yourself, because of leading society. So bro, I want to tell you that you can actually scrap out the media, scrap out this new movie, scrap out this new music, stop listening to all this trashy agenda. If you watch movie of true masculinity, start watching older movies. There are kind of like recent movies that are kind of like very good, but older movies are far better. If you don't believe me, think about it, right? Look at the superheroes we used to have 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's almost like our superheroes are losing testosterone. Do you know how crazy it is? I'm looking at the Superman, the new Superman right now. I saw the movie, the trailer alone. I turned it off. Because this guy looks like someone that I can beat. Even without the kryptonite, I can beat this particular Superman. You get the point. Again, when it comes to you being masculine, one thing you also have to realize is you need to operate from a set of principles, from a set of code. Because let's be honest, principles is what makes men who they are. If you have ever watched this movie, bro, Kingsman Secret Service, yeah? Is it Kingsman Secret Service? Something that sticks in my head is manners make it men. That means if you don't have manners, if you don't have codes, if you don't have principles, bro, you cannot be called a man. If you watch any movie that has the mafia or has any sense of masculinity, you would always see, even all your superheroes, they operate from a place of principles. They operate from a place of codes. And for example, mine is Batman. Batman almost never kills. Does he ever kill? Basically, he doesn't use guns. He fights. He likes to stretch his thinking and then what? His strength. So brother, the last part about masculinity I'll tell you is start having a long-term vision for yourself, because that itself is the very start of masculinity. You see the other thing, there are different levels of masculinity, like I said in my yesterday's video, my yesterday's vlog. There are different levels of masculinity. But see, the idea of a long-term vision, it is non-negotiable. Because without a vision, my bro, you're fucking useless. You're fucking miserable. You are left to be desperate. Now, number 3 on this list is pleasure and comfort. Yes, there's this conversation about men today not growing up. They call it Peter Pan effect, where men are still living in their parents' houses. I'll tell you, as a brother guy, you see, I grew up in a comfort. I grew up in a world of comfort. But something happened to me in my story that made me realize that I had to wake up. What happened was my father almost died. Right? No, I won't say almost died, but he had cancer. And I was thinking that if this man dies today, I'm fucked. But that shit fired me up as soon as possible, because I kind of realized that if this man dies, I can't stand for myself. I can't stand on myself on my 2 feet. At that moment, I think I had to fix myself. See, pleasure and comfort are your biggest distractions. They are your biggest distractions because remember that quote I mentioned about the sins you commit every day? Think about it. There are people who masturbate every day for 40 years. If you think about it, if you had told them 40 years prior, 20 years prior that this would be your problem, they won't believe it, because they'd be like 20 years, that's too much to masturbate. If you think about how many days that is. But instead, addictions come as short-term pleasures. You want to take pleasure today before you know it tomorrow, and before you know it, it becomes a situation where it's an endless cycle. I tell you, as a brother, short-term dopamine like drugs, weed, drugs, the same thing, alcohol, all those shit scrap it out. To be very, very frank, because it's obvious that society wants you addicted. Society wants you distracted. So they want you distracted with short-term pleasures. They want you to feel comfortable. Think about it. The only reason we built a world today, right? The only reason we're happy today is because our fathers in the past worked hard, right? Our fathers in the past worked hard. So they worked hard to build a life. I know they're saying that strong men build good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create tough times. And tough times, you see, we're switching between right now, we're in an era of bad shit where this woke agenda is men are committing more suicides, men are more lonely, men are more depressed. Bro, we're already at shitty times. I'll tell you for a fact that you can only save yourself. You can only hear my message today. Go out there and take action. Speaking of taking action, number 4 is mental masturbation. So everything I'm talking about today is something that I saw in the guy who I was talking to yesterday, and I was kind of bitter because, like I said, at some point, I was once in these shoes, right? Precisely around the point of mental masturbation, where I had a shit ton of ideas, business ideas, but to be very frank, I almost never worked on most of them, right? And most of them I procrastinated. That's why I meant to tell you that, bro, as a brother, mental masturbation is actually crazier than actual masturbation. You see, masturbation, right? Think about it. At some point, you feel like this shit is bad, let me stop it. But mental masturbation, nah. You're always telling your guys about your plans, about your ideas, about your goals. But guess what? That shit leaves you worse, because after doing that for about 5 years, you get to realize that, bro, fuck it. I have nothing to show for all this my braggers I've been talking about. Let me give you a story. And this is something that I think you can do for any friend. If you really, really have a friend that you really want to help, right? If it comes to you with an idea, right? Instead of you supporting and cheering or motivating your friend, instead, challenge your friend. Let me give you a typical example now. Before I left my father's house, I was chilling with my guy one day, Silver. And I said, man, I'm just starting my father's house, man. I need to leave my father's house. And Silver was like, bro, you have been saying that thing for over 3 months. Now, you see, that thing hits me so hard. Now, mind you, this is why, again, I'm going to your friends very, very soon. This is why I tell you that your friends you keep means a lot. That statement he made got to my bone marrow. I was disturbed, right? I was heavily disturbed. I said, you know what, bro, I got you. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I did rather. The next day, I hopped on a bus. I went straight to the region I wanted to get my apartment in, and I looked for house agents. I think before I was using Google, don't get me wrong. Before I was in my comfort zone looking for a house. That was the mental masturbation, right? I'm looking for the house, but I'm currently comfortable in my father's house. So I hopped on a bus the next day. I spent a night with my friend, right, in my friend's place my university. And then before you know it, the next day we went to actually look for these houses in the location I wanted it to be. 6 months later, I moved in. Now, to be very frank, if my friend had not challenged me, if I didn't move into action, I might still be there by now. Right? I'll tell you. And speaking of mental masturbation, what you should do is if a friend comes to you, challenge them to motivate them. A typical example is your friend comes to you with a business idea. Oh, bro, the idea is very good, but I don't think you can actually achieve it. You see, so his brain goes from pleasure mode to challenging mode, right? What that means is, you know what? Because I was much more driven with the fact that I had to prove Silver. I did not want Silver to look down on me. And like I said, I knew that Silver had good intentions, right? And to be very frank, I still keep Silver around. If you check my vlogs, you must have seen Silver quite a number of times, right? So don't be afraid to challenge your friend. Because if your friend thinks and your friend knows that you have good intentions, they would always be there regardless. But like I said, always aim to challenge your friend, not just motivate them, because motivation sort of has a lifespan. And again, when somebody feels already motivated, what happens is his brain will release all this dopamine, and with this dopamine, guess what? He will just go ahead and not do it anymore. So, which now brings me to the fifth point that's holding you back: your friends and your environment. This is very deep because I basically just showed you how my friend motivated me to go and look for a house when I have been mentally masturbating about, right? So now your friends. And this comes to me from somebody else, right? When I remember I was talking to someone and we kind of realized that looking at his passion, his dreams, they are most likely going to be created. But if he creates content, and this is why I tell you stop hanging around losers. So we both agree that creating content is his ticket to the future he wants to create, right? So creating content and him documenting his journey is his ticket. So we had a call. Then 2 weeks later, he's like, "Oh, bro, I'm sorry, man." Yeah, that kept on giving excuses. 2 weeks, 3 weeks excuses. So one day I called him up and we were just talking about random life stuff, right? He was talking about without his promises. And then after talking for a while, right, I asked him a question. I said, "What did your friends think about when it comes to you creating content?" That's when I realized that it was his friends that talked him out of the idea of creating content. You see, let me show you a sign that you have this as a friend, right? Let me give you a reasonable sign, right? And you have to let go. You see, a typical example of a loser friend is he laughs at somebody who is obese. Oh, that guy's obese, ha 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 ha. Now, mind you, he has like a very mid body, very no workouts. The day you step into the gym to build your muscles, he will still mock you for building muscles. Now think about it. He's mocking somebody who is fat. He's mocking somebody who has muscles. And these things do happen. Now, and if you have a friend like that, bro, that's a friend who has said to himself that this is how I am never going to change. And automatically, that's a loser mindset. There is nothing more losing than having such a mindset of not improving. Can you eye connecting the dots? Your friends are the ones who would inject ideas to you. And again, because of, and probably happens to everybody, that is why the rich and the powerful, they try to surround yourself with rich and powerful people because they understand that allowing people in your space, people that you don't trust, people whose ideas you don't know, is very detrimental to them. Yes, it sounds wicked to let go of your friends, but you have two choices when it comes to friendship. You either sacrifice the life you want for your friends, sacrifice the friends you have now for the life you want. And this is the harsh truth. When you sacrifice your friends, one thing I'll tell you is life upholds a vacuum. What that means is better friends that are heading your direction are going to come. That's the harsh truth. I can tell you for a fact of I have met way more interesting people on the internet, people who think deep on the internet. Even though I barely have, I don't have like a large audience, but like I told you, right? If you have goals for yourself, if you are always on your purpose, if you are always on your grind, that would help you attract a different set of friends. But like I said, you cannot be on your purpose and retain the same friends if those guys are not advancing, because they will try their possible best to bring you down. And the worst part is, I think looking at that guy's story, I think I forgot a particular part. Looking at that guy's story, one thing that hits me most, he said that, oh, one of his friends made a statement like, bro, we don't see you creating content, you will look odd. I'm like, so I basically did not give him a feedback on that because I've concluded that he was not willing to let go of his friends. And now his friends are the ones who are determining his future, right? By trying to keep him in an identity that they are used to, in an identity that you are used to. Now, another idea around friends and environment is they would help you miss opportunities. Now, if you are in a locality, your environment, and the opportunities you're looking out for cannot help you, you're fucked. Although thanks to things like social media, where if you are in a location that does not favor you, social media can actually help you go places, right? This particular guy, I really don't talk about him because I just, but I begin to feel like I'm really really sad, not because of his story, but I felt like I had to give up on his story because he was not really really willing to change, right? And again, it was basically like free coaching, and I feel very very bad. Like I said, I take pride in the fact that people have like success, they have a path to life, and then somebody who I would call a brother, but I really just couldn't help. Maybe a few years down the line, he might wake up and realize that something is not just right. So regarding the opportunities, if you feel like where you are, the environment you are, it could be your digital environment, it could be your physical environment. If it does not favor the opportunities that you are looking for, then you need to move. Change your friends, change your environment. Your environment doesn't have to be your physical location. Your algorithms, those are your environment. The communities you belong to, those are your environments. Again, it is easier for you to pick an environment to live when you have goals you are working towards. Because think about it, without a vision to you, without a vision, your brain cannot tell what a distraction is. That is why I would always tell you in all my videos, what are your goals? Same thing in my calls. When you reach out to me on any of my platforms, what are you trying to achieve? What's your goal? Now, and one other thing I've noticed is a lot of guys want me to give them goals. I'm like, I can't give you a goal because the goal I'll give to you might cause burnout to you, right? Because it doesn't come from within. And one harsh truth is that the more your goals align with you, the easier it is to break addictions, and that is where the real self-improvement starts. Your goals again are going to be very scary, right? Because right now I'm going to lie to you. Even I have goals to me that are very, very scary, right? But I have to keep on going. And the last thing I'll say you have to. This may be a bonus, right? If you made it this far, this is a bonus regarding what's holding you back in terms of masculinities. You need to believe in a form of higher power, whether it's Buddhist, be it a, because all of the main guys who have reached the top of success, right? Most of them attribute success to having or being connected to the source. So it could be Allah, it could be God, and heck, if you ask me now, I'm more of like I'm more of Zen, and the reason I'm more of Zen is because I've come to realize all religions are saying the same thing. Now, it's because you've not connected to this source, which is you are connected to your maker. You are created on earth for a purpose. You are created on earth for a reason. That's why I say, as a man, without your purpose, you're lost. You see, you can push women aside. You can push friends aside. You can kick your ideas away, but without, hear me very well, without your purpose, you are fucking lost. My name is Don Oreye. If any of the ideas in this video resonated with you, I would like you to please share with your friend who will find it helpful. Because, bro, my mission in life is to help as many men as possible, right? Because I grew up in a family of all boys, and I really have seen how I grew up in a family of all boys. I had a lot of male cousins, and I've seen some things I don't like, right? The things that I have discussed in my past videos, and I don't really take pride in mentioning people's stories, right? I don't really take pride, but I guess sometimes I have to do it. So, whether if any idea got to you, please share this video with someone who you know you find it helpful. Thank you very much. It's also a way of making the algorithms help other men to figure out their life and figure out what's stopping them. So, yep, I couldn't make a vlog video today because I kind of realized that I could not spar. So my vlog video would have wasted. So, brother, talk to you soon. And bye for now.